Vietnam cigarettes and firearms, oh my. We have a bear of an episode up next on The Wise Conservative.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are under attack. Our very way of life, our very existence is threatened. They have already taken over Washington. They continue to destroy our Constitution. It is time to take back our country now.
The Wise Conservative Show, bringing wisdom back to politics.
Welcome back to the Wise Conservative Show. You're here with Connor Wise and Dakota Wise. We have a jam-packed episode lined up for you today. I'm glad you can be with us.
Right out of the gate, we're going to be talking about the overwhelmingly supported $2 tax on every pack of cigarettes here in California and explain what that means for your firearm. Sound convoluted? Well, maybe a little bit, but here's Connor Wise to explain more.
So California, they're really hoping to make these cigarettes extremely expensive for the common person to even smoke. We can see that the average cost of a pack of cigarettes in New York right now is about $14.
$14 for one pack?
Yes, for one pack of cigarettes. Now, in Kentucky, if you want to compare these two, which taxes them only at 60 cents, they cost only $4.96 for one pack.
So, essentially, that's almost $10 of taxes there in New York, right?
Yeah, $10 almost. It's a lot of taxes, and we can really see that this is going to hurt a lot of people trying to get these cigarettes.
Well, the cigarettes themselves are going to be hurting these people. I think the biggest problem is that the liberals, the Democrats, obviously both New York and California are run by complete morons, also known as the Democratic Party. They believe it's necessary in order to legislate people to behave in a manner in which they approve of. Everyone in the world, everyone knows that cigarettes are going to kill you, that they're terrible for you, right? But that's not enough for Democrats. It's not enough that legal adults are making educated decisions. They feel the need in order to try to get people to stop smoking. And so what better of a way to fund their bloated governments than to tax the things that they do not like? And this is exactly the threat that these sort of taxes poses to the Second Amendment.
So in Seattle on January 1st, they began imposing a $25 tax on every single gun and a 5 cents tax on every single round sold within city limits. The stated objective that they set for this was to raise up to $500,000 per year to fund programs to prevent gun violence.
So basically, the liberals are getting smarter. It's a bit of an oxymoron, I know. But the thing is that they know that there's no way they will ever be able to get rid of the Second Amendment by changing the Constitution. They've realized that. But they are starting to realize the fact that they are more than capable of taxing the Second Amendment to oblivion. Seattle is just the start, I guarantee. And what's really scary about this is that they're going to say the tax money is going to something so beneficial that they'll be able to absolutely destroy any politician. They'll say it's going to veterans, although they'll say it's going to domestic abuse victims. And when some politician gets up there and says that they do not support these taxes, they'll use that to their advantage. They'll say, Senator Wise doesn't support this tax. He doesn't support veterans. He doesn't support domestic abuse victims. They're smart, and they're very manipulative, and this is where we're heading.
This is really a strategy that they have used for most issues. We can see that Democrats go around and they use moral stances, such as saying that someone doesn't care about veterans, such as what would happen with this, to try and take the moral approach to things. And we can see it's definitely going to hurt our gun rights.
Oh, and if you think this is the hippies up in Seattle being hippies, well, you really ought to be fearful for the fact that Hillary Clinton supports a 25% federal tax on all sales that involve firearms.
Now, we don't ask people to pay a fee in order to exercise religion. We do not ask prisoners to work for labor in order to exclude them from being used in human testing.
So
Why? Why should we be paying a fee and asking permission in order to use our Second Amendment right?
there you have it. The Second Amendment is the only right in the Constitution that the federal government, that state governments believe needs to be taxed somehow. No other constitutional right is being taxed. You're not taxed to go exercise your religion. You're not taxed to, have a jury of peers. So then why is it the Second Amendment, one of the most, when the Founding Fathers sat down and they put down a list of things that the people needed to be able to do, owning guns was second on that list. I think that says a tremendous amount about how necessary the Second Amendment, the Founding Fathers knew that it was.
Just this past week, actually, there was an NRA convention, and something that Rand Paul said at it really resonated within me. He said, if you lose your Second Amendment right, do not expect to have any of your other rights from that Bill of Rights. If you lose the Second Amendment right, they're going to be chopping off every single one of your rights after it.
Exactly. Here's a little bit of a history lesson because it seems the nation has forgotten the actual point of the Second Amendment. It was never about hunting. It was never about stopping the burglar who's breaking into your home. Those are both nice benefits of the Second Amendment, but the sole purpose of the right to bear arms stems around the fact that the Founding Fathers knew at one point or another every government goes into tyranny. Every government, right? If you look through history, it does not matter. Every government eventually resorts in tyranny. And the Second Amendment is there to ensure that the people always have a way of fighting back against the federal government.
And that's exactly why the federal government, Hillary Clinton included, does not want us to have these weapons.
Now, I'll leave it up to you. We'll leave it up to you to decide what exactly a tyrannical government is. But I know up on my list of things, a government that's afraid of an armed people is already taking a step towards being a tyrannical government.
I definitely agree with that.
And the states are already ushering in an assault on your constitutional right. This week, Hawaii introduced a bill that would put all firearm owners into a federal database.
This database would automatically alert the FBI if the owner was arrested anywhere in the state. And this doesn't matter if the crime had anything to do with firearms.
Right, so you get pulled over by a speeding ticket, bam, you're in this database. The FBI knows, you were arrested. And, the critics or not the critics, the people who support this database are going to say, well, it doesn't matter then. If you're arrested for DUI and your name happens to pull up on this list, they're not going to come take your guns. And that's yet, though. That's yet. We know this database would be the perfect opportunity for the government to say, if you break any sort of law, well, we're going to come take your guns because obviously you can't be trusted.
I find a lot of irony in liberals trying to pass this because these are the same people who are saying that a database of refugees would be wrong. But they're trying to create a database of people trying to exercise their Second Amendment right.
Yeah. The hypocrisy of the liberals, it never ceases to amaze me.
They keep trying, and in a lot of states they're succeeding, on finding new ways to limit this right.
The Second Amendment is probably the only constitutional right given to the people that is under constant attack. No other right is under attack like the Second Amendment is. So it's very important for the conservative voter base to keep putting pressure onto the left and keep having our voices heard that, guess what? We support the Second Amendment. You don't like a gun? That's fine. Don't own a gun. There's 300 million firearms, over 300 million firearms in the United States. 99.99% of those firearms will never, ever be involved in any sort of crime. Ever involved, right? Yet firearms, homicides, they're the only crime where we try to go after the people who follow the law. We don't stop people from driving because a few idiots decide to drive drunk. We don't sue Ford because someone drove drunk in their car and it killed a family of 4. Yet firearms are the only right, the only thing really, not even rights if you're just looking in general. It's the only type of laws where we try to punish the law-abiding citizens and go after the companies who made them.
Now, in case you forgot, the Democratic candidates at one of the first debates bragged about having a D- grade from the NRA, an association that is trying to protect this right. This is a very important election, and I've said this throughout the entire time. We must show up to vote because Hillary Clinton, who will get the nomination, is bragging about having a D- on saving people's Second Amendment right.
Now, this past week, Hillary Clinton came out and said that Donald Trump's stance on gun control was putting innocent children at risk. Now, here's the key. You'll notice the left always has some sort of emotional plea. Someone think of the children. You're putting children at risk. You're putting innocent people at risk. They're purely based on emotions, and they've realized that emotions are powerful things. If you can appeal to a person's ethos, that's right? Their ethos?
I think it might be pathos.
Maybe pathos. Okay, if you appeal to their pathos, I need a lesson in debate again. If you appeal to their emotional side, you can win a lot of votes. And that's something that the left side does very, very well.
And they don't need to look out and find the statistics or the facts in order to make these arguments. All they have to say is you're going to be bigoted, you're going to not support this certain group of people, so you can't do it.
I feel like the left must send out a pamphlet of talking points, because you'll notice every single one resorts to saying the same things over and over and over. You don't need to form a rational argument if you just say these talking points. That seems how it is.
Oh, yeah, I've noticed that a lot, and I'm sure a lot of you guys, our listeners, have noticed this. They continually call the right bigots. They continually call us racist, sexist. They use all of these different adjectives that, quite honestly, I'm not even sure if they know what they mean.
I don't think so either. But we'll get it more into this. We'll talk about more of these talking points right after this commercial break. Thanks for being with us. This is The Wise Conservative Show.
The idea behind Youth Revolt is to let them, these liberal professors, let them know that we are here and we're ready to fight.
Youth Revolt. Speak without fear.
8 years with Obama, and now no one knows what bathroom to use.
The Wise Conservative Show, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Only on Youth Revolt.
Tune in to Millennials Rising, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday nights, for a conservative outlook on pop culture and American politics. Together we can reinstitute values back into our nation's young people and help create an alternative path away from the mainstream liberal agenda. Tune in to Millennials Rising, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday nights, only on Youth Revolt. How's it going, everyone? Jason Veely here. I want to tell you about YouthRevolt.org, the ultimate media network for young conservatives. Youth Revolt features a lineup of young radio hosts, columnists, and video bloggers. These are some of the most courageous and articulate millennials out there. Give them some support and check out YouthRevolt.org. YouthRevolt.org. Speak without fear.
Hey, little boy, you want some free college?
Bernie Sanders, that creepy uncle your mom warned you about. The Wise Conservative Show. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Only on Youth Revolt. Welcome back to the Wise Conservative Show. You're here with Dakota and Connor Wise. Now, before the break, we were discussing the mailing list that the Democratic Party must send out to their registered voters, because it seems they all use the same adjectives and the same talking points when talking about conservatives.
Now, just to go along that same thing, the LA mayor, now, I'm not sure if any of you actually know who he is outside of California.
Don't worry. It doesn't really matter. He doesn't do a whole lot. He's just kind of a talking moron.
We don't really care about him here in California either. But this mayor, Eric Garcetti, he really, this past week, he really showed how stupid he really is.
Now, a little background on Garcetti. As you might imagine, being mayor of LA, he's what we would call, let's call him a progressive. Very in touch with his feminist side. He's into that sort of yoga, all that sort of good stuff.
The new hip stuff of the liberal movement.
Yes. So here's a clip of audio from a speech he gave this week at the opening of a new Hillary Clinton headquarters here in LA. Not sure why she even needs to campaign in California, to be honest. But here's a clip in which Garcetti claims to talk for all Californians. Take a listen.
Let me say this. Hillary Clinton loves California. California loves her. Thank you to Sergio. Are there any laborers around here?
Notice that's what the Democrats here in California are starting to call the illegals, because apparently undocumented is still an offensive term. So now they're just calling laborers.
You see, we know a thing or two about building in this city, and that's what this country needs. We don't need somebody who's going to be talking about building walls. We need somebody who's going to help us build bridges.
Yes, right there. That is the key talking point that the Democrats have started to come up with this year. We're not going to build walls. We're going to build bridges.
They feel like now we need to let in even more illegals into our country.
I don't even know if that's what... is that what they really mean? Do they literally want to build bridges?
Not literally, but I really feel like they want more illegals here.
Well, hold on. Not illegals. Laborers.
That's the new term we're using. I forgot.
Yeah. Seriously, they all use it. Let's build build bridges, not walls. Seriously, people, get your head out of your butt.
And help us build buildings, and help us build our roads, and help us build our transit network. That's what these laborers, these working men and women who are here know something about. That's what Hillary Clinton knows something about.
Yes, because a career politician knows a thing or two about working. Jeez.
Wasn't it Donald Trump, the one that built a lot of buildings as a real estate mogul?
I believe so, and isn't he the one who built all these jobs that Garcetti is about to talk about?
You know, I'm pretty sure he is the one.
We don't need a candidate who's going to say, you're fired. We need a candidate who's going to say, you're hired.
I wonder how long it took him to come up with that.
I don't know. It's a pretty complex saying there.
They all said it with him at the same time, too.
I feel like it was like on a pamphlet that they handed out. Again, like the adjectives. They're like, say you're hired.
You're hired.
We don't need a candidate obsessed with the size of his hands or of his fortune. We need a candidate obsessed with the size of the middle class and of the minimum wage.
Yes, the woman who has promised to put Americans out of jobs is definitely the person I'm voting for in order to create more middle-class jobs.
That's Hillary Clinton. So estamos aquí, un pueblo unido.
I just kind of want to laugh at how bad his Spanish is. It's a little bit hilarious.
Porque esta es una reflexión de nuestra ciudad y nuestro país. Es oficial. Hoy.
Also, this entire Spanish segment says a lot about California.
Que Donald Trump es el candidato de los republicanos.
I really feel like he used Google Translate to figure out what these words actually mean.
I feel the same, and everyone's going, ooh, it's not because he said anything. It's because he like mispronounced something or like
He accidentally said some weird phrase.
I live in a watermelon.
Qué lástima, qué bárbaro. Es importante para nosotros. Esta es nuestra lucha. This is our fight. As of tonight, if you didn't hear the news, Cruz has dropped out. What everybody said is true, and Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. This is a man who would set women back 3 decades.
Hillary Clinton's track record of defending women is absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Not to mention the women that her husband, Bill Clinton, has
silenced, raped, sexually abused,
molested.
He's done it all. I mean, there's already records out now that he's flown, 20-odd times on the child molester plane to an island called Orgy Island? Really? Really, Hillary Clinton's the defender of women?
I don't see that happening.
We're going to talk about this next week. This is going to be a huge part of next week because there is a lot that Bill Clinton has done that, number one, the millennial generation doesn't know about, and a lot that Hillary Clinton is trying to sweep under the covers.
This is a man who, just like we saw during desegregation, when people talked about men of color coming after women, that's what he said about us who are people of color, Mexicans, who come here working hard, and he wants to demonize us.
Again, Trump was talking about the numerous, there's probably hundreds of them at this point, cases where illegals have come in and raped, abused, or murdered, flat out murdered people. And they shouldn't have been here in the first place.
He never once said all Mexicans.
He never once said all immigrants. People need to define a difference between legal and illegal. And in fact, if I was an immigrant, I think I would be more pissed off that all the legal immigrants are being lumped into the category with those who have broken the law to get here. That seems pretty terrible.
Not in our state, Mr. Trump. Are not only going to deliver a victory for Hillary Clinton, we're going to take her over the top, and we're going to make sure she's the next president. We got the right candidate at the right time, and we as Americans have to return to what we know we are about.
Few points. He says we need to return to what we are about. Number one, isn't that Donald Trump's motto? Isn't he trying to make America great again? And number two, isn't returning to what the nation about? Is that not the definition of conservatism?
In this picture, we've got veterans here. We've got people of color here. We've got men and women. We've got those who are recently retired and those who are on their first campaign ever. We have more idealism in this campaign than any other campaign out there. Because with Hillary Clinton, what do you get? You get results.
Ambassador Stevens and the 3 others that were killed in Benghazi, they're still waiting for their results from Hillary. The rest of the clip goes on, and he finishes about 15 seconds worth of Spanish, and the crowd goes crazy because, I don't know, he was probably saying something like, we'll keep all of you here, illegally.
We don't need to deport you.
You broke the law, but who cares? We're friendly.
We like laborers.
So there's a couple of things just so very wrong with what Garcetti was saying. Number one, he was saying that California as a whole is unaccepting of Hillary, that we hate her guts. That's not true, okay?
Other way around.
What?
You said we're unaccepting of Hillary.
Oh, no. I meant of Trump. We're unaccepting of Trump. We hate his guts. He's an evil moron. He's a bigot. Sexist. Few things flawed in his speech. Number one, he compared Donald Trump to segregation. Really? Because trying to enforce the law, you've come here illegally, is somehow the same as taking away people's rights.
Last time I checked, illegal is not a race.
It's not. And so what's the left trying to do? Trying to give the rights to people who aren't even U.S. citizens. There's a difference between taking rights from U.S. citizens and not granting them to those who have illegally broken the law to be here.
The left continues to try and make this a moral issue, though, saying that these people are people too, but they fail to realize time after time that they're breaking the law to be here.
Going past just the undocumented, illegal, laborer, whatever you want to call them. They're all the same. They're here illegally. Going past that, here's the problem. California is a huge state. Huge. Not world class. Not beautiful. It's just huge. Although only 30% of registered voters in California are Republicans, we still make up a very significant portion of people. There's a little over 5 million registered Republicans in the state of California. To put that into perspective, you have Florida, which is a swing state, right? Very important swing state at that.
Yeah.
Florida has just 4 million registered Republicans.
Only 4 million?
Yes, and those 4 million votes matter a whole lot more than the 5 million Republicans here in California. So Garcetti is not representing all of California. He might be representing a majority, unfortunately. But here's the problem with the left. The left says they're representing the minorities of the country. Well, here in California, the conservatives are the minorities, and they continue to ignore that we're here. They continue to ignore our voices, and they continue to pass policies, legislate things that are just flat out against what we believe in, and they don't care if they step on us or the Constitution or any of that.
Well, because they don't view us as the same as them. They view us as bigoted people. They don't realize that we still have a brain and that we're actually using it, unlike them.
Right. So there's the problem, Garcetti. You don't represent all of California. You represent those who are here illegally, breaking the law. You represent those who are following along with the pretty much the emotional propaganda that the left puts out.
Yeah.
You don't represent us all. So don't make claims like that, Garcetti, because you are just a complete idiot.
That's something we can all agree on, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Coming up after the break, we're going to be talking about the presidential campaign, what's going on, everything from Bernie to Hillary to friends of the Clintons. We'll be back.
The idea behind Youth Revolt is to let them, these liberal professors, let them know that we are here and we're ready to fight.
Youth Revolt. Speak without fear.
8 years with Obama, and now no one knows what bathroom to use.
The Wise Conservative Show, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Only on Youth Revolt.
Tune in to Millennials Rising, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday nights, for a conservative outlook on pop culture and American politics. Together we can reinstitute values back into our nation's young people and help create an alternative path away from the mainstream liberal agenda. Tune in to Millennials Rising, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday nights, only on Youth Revolt. How's it going, everyone? Jason Veely here. I want to tell you about YouthRevolt.org, the ultimate media network for young conservatives. Youth Revolt features a lineup of young radio hosts, columnists, and video bloggers. These are some of the most courageous and articulate millennials out there. Give them some support and check out YouthRevolt.org. YouthRevolt.org. Speak without fear.
Hey, little boy, you want some free college?
Bernie Sanders, that creepy uncle your mom warned you about. The Wise Conservative Show. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Only on Youth Revolt. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back from break. In fact, we did come back. I sounded a little confused before the break, if we would or not. I don't know. So speaking of that creepy uncle, we have some ground-shattering, absolutely earth-moving news coming out of the Bernie Sanders camp.
Last Tuesday, Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton went head-to-head in Kentucky.
And now, Bernie Sanders is asking for a recount.
This comes after the Sanders campaign lost to Hillary by about 4 or 5 votes.
That's it? 4 or 5?
Yeah, it was very close.
Okay. So, isn't the Democratic delegates awarded proportionally?
Yes, they definitely are, yeah.
So, what does 4 or 5 votes translate to in delegates?
They both, I believe, got 46 delegates. They got the same amount.
So, 5 votes does not equal 5 more delegates?
No.
Are you sure Bernie Sanders can do math?
No, he is a socialist.
Right. Okay. So, how this works out, Bernie Sanders' recount, it doesn't really matter. I think maybe he's asking for a recount so he can claim to have won the last 8 primaries or however many it is. He can make the claim that momentum is on his side and the socialist movement is rising. Huzzah! And all that good stuff. But the way the math works out, Hillary Clinton only needs 85 more delegates to secure the nomination, while Bernie Sanders still needs a whopping, wait for it, 844 delegates.
800?
844.
And he wants a recount for no delegates.
He wants a recount for 5 people.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, he has his priorities in line. Now, here's the real kicker, and Bernie Sanders, it's getting crunch time for him and his campaign. There's just 921 delegates up for grabs still.
He can still grab it. It's just going to be extremely hard.
I think he'd need near 100% of the remaining vote, because you have to remember the Democrats award proportionally, so even if he wins a state, Hillary Clinton might only get 2 or 3 less delegates than him.
Yeah, and that's what we saw here. They got the same amount of delegates, but Hillary Clinton won the state.
By 5 votes. Speaking of Hillary Clinton, our favorite woman on this show, we absolutely adore Hillary Clinton, don't we?
Oh, definitely. I love her.
In a not-so-surprising move, Clinton has decided to decline a Fox News invitation to debate Senator Sanders in California.
Now, we all know that Clinton never goes on Fox. She has time after time neglected Fox News and basically ignored the fact that they want to interview her.
And you have to remember back in 2008, Hillary Clinton said when addressing Obama that all presidential candidates should be willing to debate anytime, anywhere.
Now,
how's she holding up to her word, right?
Oh, just like always, she is going back on her words. We can see if there was a debate between Hillary Clinton from 2008 and Hillary Clinton from now, it would be the most intense debate ever. They would have so many conflicting ideas.
Here's the real problem with this. Maybe for once, if we saw a Democratic debate on Fox News, we might get actual topics to discuss.
But Democrats refuse. Well, Hillary refuses, because Bernie was willing to do this. Hillary refuses to go onto Fox News because she knows that Bernie is better in debates.
Well, it comes down to the fact that Clinton has nothing but... Clinton has everything to lose. Sanders has nothing to lose at this point, right? From the start, Clinton has made it as impossible as possible. There we go. To actually get a solid debate with Sanders. She put him on the lowest rated, the lowest watched time of TV, Saturday nights. She ensured that that's when all the Democratic debates would be so that no one saw them. She's repeatedly lost the debates when people have won. If it wasn't for her trickery and the shenanigans of the DNC, Bernie Sanders might actually have a fairly good shot at being the nominee.
But Hillary Clinton, as always, rigs the system. She isn't trustworthy.
But I think that's going to come back to bite her, because she's seen as the inevitable candidate. And inevitable candidates, they don't inspire voter turnout.
Oh, definitely not. As in exit polls, I don't remember exactly which state, but I know in a recent state, in exit polls, 30% of Bernie Sanders voters said that they would not vote for Hillary, and they would vote for Trump over her.
And even if they don't vote for Trump, just not voting for Hillary Clinton will help us so much.
Oh, definitely. We need every vote we can get.
And it's especially important now that the millennial generation realizes just how twisted Hillary Clinton has been in the past and how far she's willing to go in order to receive the power that she so desperately desires.
We've seen her all the time trying to pander for votes. We've talked about this a lot on our show because it happens so often.
It's almost not worth talking about because if it's Hillary Clinton, you can assume it's pandering.
It happens so much, so much.
If you really want a good glimpse into the brain of Hillary Clinton, go watch House of Cards. That is literally the perfect representation of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton.
That's the perfect example,
Even from their sex lives to just how they're running their campaigns. That is the perfect representation.
I feel like it was modeled after the Clintons.
It very well could be. Continuing on with Hillary Clinton and the presumptive,
yeah.
The presumptive campaign matchup against Trump and Clinton, Hillary started to release attack ads against Trump.
Hillary is now attacking Trump for capitalizing on the housing market crash back in 2008.
Apparently, she's claiming that he somehow harmed middle-class Americans, as if he started the housing burst.
She's trying to twist the words that Donald Trump used back in 2008 to try and make it sound like he wanted this to be a thing. He wanted middle-class families to be hurt.
Here's the thing. That housing bubble, all the recession, whatever, the Great Recession, you want to call it, that's all part of the natural economic cycle. I can guarantee that in the next decade or two, we're going to have another recession. Does that mean that businessmen should stop doing stuff since apparently it makes them evil to capitalize on the market?
Well, of course not. It shouldn't, at least. But Hillary Clinton says that it should.
It seems she's reaching. And I firmly believe that if Donald Trump had anything super terrible in his past that could have been brought up, it would have been brought up by now.
Oh, definitely. Again, I mean, we can see that this is the very definition of capitalism. He's taking a horrible economic time, but he's turning it into good economic times for himself and his company.
Isn't that something we would want the United States to be able to do? Turn a bad situation into good?
Oh, definitely. That's what we want in our government.
So, then is it really a flaw in Donald Trump that he, I don't know, turned a bad situation into a good situation?
According to Hillary Clinton, it is.
So, she's gone as far to say that Trump is not qualified to be leader of the free world, to be the president.
Yet, she's under federal investigation.
Shouldn't that, I don't know, maybe disqualify you until, I don't know, you're either charged or the investigation is stopped?
Shouldn't ignoring the 4 Americans in Benghazi disqualify her from becoming president?
Shouldn't not even being able to handle emails really mean you can't be president of the United States? It's not a hard system, Hillary. Really?
This email server that she set up definitely should disqualify her because it broke national federal laws.
Well, it's really, really interesting because now all sorts of people are coming out and saying that they were able to get onto Clinton's server. I mean, we've known for a long time. The United States really seems to suck at securing our digital assets, from emails to confidential material, whatever. Our cybersecurity sucks. So is it really a surprise that these nations that have dedicated military branches to go in and try and steal our data were able to get past a poorly set up server that was running out of the bathroom in a Colorado business?
Yeah, it's no surprise at all if you actually think about it.
It's probably a pot shop.
That would make sense.
So is it really any surprise? I have absolutely no doubt that these, I think Russia came out and said that they had emails.
China did too,
China,
I believe.
There was the Romanian hacker. I have no doubt that they have Clinton's emails. And I really think that they should just say, hey, you know what? We're going to release these to the public. You want proof? Here you go. You can see all of her emails.
That would actually, yeah, I really hope they do, because that would definitely indict Hillary Clinton.
Well, what's really interesting is that now that these countries are coming out and saying that, the Department of Justice is walking a tight line, because you know they don't want to charge Hillary Clinton.
Oh, definitely not. No, she's in there with them.
You know that they don't want to. But now that other countries are saying, well, we have the emails, and they're making it public, well, they might be forced to actually take action.
You know, the FBI, which is a huge part of all of this, they're definitely investigating Hillary Clinton a lot. But they actually came out, and now they're saying that they're investigating into a friend of the Clintons.
Now, this friend whose name Terry McAuliffe?
I believe that's how it's pronounced.
McAuliffe. He ran a 2013 campaign for governor. Which state?
Oh, I don't remember right now.
He ran a 2013 governor for one of the great 50 states of the United States.
It might have been Virginia.
Virginia. Let's say Virginia. And did he win?
He did win, yes.
Okay, so Governor McAuliffe is known to have called Bill Clinton his best friend, and both the Clintons have helped him with his campaigns, and he's helped the Clintons with their campaigns. They're lifelong friends. They've helped with campaigns, whatever, okay? But the real issue arises from the fact that the FBI is investigating McAuliffe because apparently he was receiving a lot of campaign donations illegally.
See, the thing is, McAuliffe's staffers, who he uses for his campaign, a lot of the top staffers who would be dealing with all of these donations are the same ones that are working on Hillary Clinton's campaign right now.
So you think there might be some carryover on the practices they used in McAuliffe's? There might be some illegal money coming into the Clinton campaign?
Oh, I have no doubt that there's some sort of illegal activity going on through funds for the Clinton campaign.
100%? I'd be willing to bet money on it, actually.
I would too, yeah.
The Clintons, especially Bill Clinton, he's hung out with some really sketchy people in the past.
Oh, definitely. And this is just coming to light now, where we're seeing that all of these different people under investigation. He's been under investigation, McAuliffe, for around a year now, and they're just making it public. And they've hung out with this guy. They've been friends with this guy. They were there when he was inaugurated to be governor.
So there's no doubt that he's probably helping the Clintons now.
Oh, obviously. He's been recorded to give millions to the Clinton campaign.
And I'm presuming the Clintons gave money to his campaign as well?
Not only the Clintons, but also the Clinton Foundation.
Oh, the Clinton Foundation, which I believe is under investigation as well.
It is, yeah.
So Hillary has 2 investigations going on. That's not looking good.
Yeah, the left doesn't really care about that.
But we may soon have an answer when it comes to the email scandal. The FBI said their investigation is starting to wind down a little bit, and that they might actually call in the Queen Bee herself in order to ask her a few questions.
But I thought it was just inquiry.
A security inquiry?
Yeah.
Even though the FBI clearly said that they don't do security inquiries?
Yeah.
And it's in their name, they investigate things?
Yeah, but Hillary said it was an inquiry, so it has to be true.
Well, what's even more hilarious is that the State Department has remained so loyal behind her.
Oh, I know.
They've released the same statement saying that they're not aware of any investigation, but it's a security inquiry. Well, yeah, that's because half of them were in there with Clinton abusing how this confidential material was being used.
It's just another example of how corrupt this current administration is.
I have no doubt that Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General who has the final say of whether or not Hillary Clinton is indicted, I have absolutely no doubt that she is in the pocket of Barack Obama. The only reason she has her job is because of Obama. And seeing as Obama appointed her, I'm fairly certain, I haven't looked into this, but I'd be willing to bet that she's probably a Democrat.
Oh, I think she is, yeah.
Yeah. I have no doubt that Barack Obama is doing everything in his power to ensure that Hillary Clinton never sees the inside of a jail cell.
Oh, obviously. That's why she hasn't been indicted already.
Anyone else in the world would have already been in prison or on trial right now if they had done what Hillary Clinton has done.
Especially if they were a Republican.
Especially. And you can't tell me that, oh no, justice is blind to the parties. Right. So is the IRS is supposed to, not care if you're a conservative. Yet, dang it, if you're a conservative group, you're definitely getting audited.
It happens all the time.
And the federal government just seems terrible at keeping track of their emails. Hillary Clinton had close to 20,000 emails that they couldn't find. the IRS had, a ton of emails with incriminating evidence that they couldn't find. It just keeps going and going. The amount of scandals under the Barack Obama administration has been absolutely insane. And I just don't understand how the Democrats today can sit here and say we're in a better place than we were 8 years ago. The world is a better place with the United States not taking lead like we have done for decades.
They don't look at the facts. That's what I've said a lot throughout my past. They don't look at the facts. They don't look at the fact that we're $19.2 trillion in debt and that we fail to even utter the words radical Islamic terrorism, and we fail to indict a criminal.
And it's really amazing the fact that the left seems oblivious to the terror that is going on around the world. So just yesterday or 2 days ago, Forsonic investigators have come out and said that Egypt Air and the human remains that have been found have been consistent with an explosive device that was set off within the airplane. Now, I like planes. I like planes a lot. I fly flight simulators. I like planes, okay? So I can tell you, a plane does not crash while cruising at 37,000 feet. And number two, if a problem does somehow arise at 37,000 feet, there is almost no organic mechanical failures. Failures that just stem from lack of maintenance or a part is worn. There's almost none that would not give the pilots an opportunity to tell ATC they're having a problem, declare a mayday, and try and work on a solution to get the plane down. There's almost none that would just cause everything on the plane to blow apart and the pilots not be able to say anything. So I firmly believe it was probably a terror attack.
And a lot of news agencies have come out and said that it's probably a terror attack. The Egypt Air, their president, has come out and said that they think it was probably terrorism. Yet Donald Trump is getting a lot of heat for saying that it's probably terrorism.
It seems like the United States has become such a backward place just in the 8 years. We have men using women's restrooms. We have presidential nominees taking heat for saying that a plane that was blown out of the sky was likely terrorism. Really? Is that really a bad thing? I don't really mind if a presidential candidate is speculating on what might have happened. He's not in the White House. He doesn't have access to the press or to the military briefings or whatever else that Barack Obama sees. So based on what the public was given, it sure does look like a terrorist attack.
Oh, it definitely does. But there's still liberals who think that climate change is far more dangerous than terrorism.
Perhaps climate change took down the plane.
Hey, climate change did directly lead to terrorism, according to Bernie Sanders.
So, you know what? Climate change definitely took down the plane then.
I feel like it did. Maybe made the air a little uneven.
Yep. It's just, this election cycle is so important, and not just for the obvious Republican-Democrat. It's because this election cycle is going to decide the fate of the Supreme Court for decades to come now. If you actually look at the Supreme Court, most of the conservative justices, I think almost all of them, are getting to the point where they're either going to die or have to retire soon, to put it bluntly. And so if we have 4, even 8 years with Hillary Clinton, we're going to see the Supreme Court 100% lean to the left. And that will, I guarantee that if we have a 100% progressive or even a majority progressive Supreme Court, you can kiss the United States that we live in goodbye. And the country we're left with 10, 15 years down the road, it's going to look nothing like what the Founding Fathers envisioned when they set up this great nation.
Well, when the Founding Fathers set up this great nation, they put the Supreme Court there for a reason, so that it has both sides of the picture. They don't want it so that they didn't want it so that it is all one viewpoint, because then there's no checks and balances. And that's the whole reason why we have multiple branches within our government.
Yep, exactly. It is a whole check and balance thing, but right now the fate of the nation pretty much hangs on this one election.
Oh, it's a very important election. No doubt about that.
We're going to take one more break. Coming up after it, we're going to talk about Facebook and then Vietnam and maybe Japan, Hiroshima. We'll be be right back. This is the Wise Conservative Show.
The idea behind Youth Revolt is to let them, these liberal professors, let them know that we are here and we're ready to fight.
Youth Revolt. Speak without fear.
8 years with Obama, and now no one knows what bathroom to use.
The Wise Conservative Show, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Only on Youth Revolt.
Tune in to Millennials Rising, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday nights, for a conservative outlook on pop culture and American politics. Together we can reinstitute values back into our nation's young people and help create an alternative path away from the mainstream liberal agenda. Tune in to Millennials Rising, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday nights, only on Youth Revolt. How's it going, everyone? Jason Veely here. I want to tell you about YouthRevolt.org, the ultimate media network for young conservatives. Youth Revolt features a lineup of young radio hosts, columnists, and video bloggers. These are some of the most courageous and articulate millennials out there. Give them some support and check out YouthRevolt.org. YouthRevolt.org. Speak without fear.
Hey, little boy, you want some free college?
Bernie Sanders, that creepy uncle your mom warned you about. The Wise Conservative Show. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Only on Youth Revolt. Welcome back to this last segment of The Wise Conservative Show. Why do I stress the?
I don't know. We've done that every time, though.
The Wise Conservative Show.
There we go.
So after this break, we are talking about Vietnam, Japan, and then we're going to finish up with Facebook because why not?
Sounds like a good plan to us.
Yep. So President Obama has announced that the United States is lifting an arms embargo on the country of Vietnam. I'm not really sure why, to be honest.
No, I don't really see any benefits to it.
There's absolutely no benefits. Vietnam probably buys, what, minuscule amount of arms?
No, especially from us. They're not going to buy any from us.
So why should we be arming them in the first place?
Because President Obama just does not care about what we've set up. I believe it was today or yesterday, while speaking to the Vietnamese people, he dismissed all of the calls to keep the communist-ran country at a distance. Yes, that they're still a communist-ran country.
It seems a little bit disrespectful to the veterans who put down their lives, or the people in the past who died trying to keep that country from the grasps of communism, to now be selling them, I don't know, arms?
No, definitely. He's spitting in the face of our veterans, our Vietnam War veterans.
I don't think that the U.S. really needs to apologize for fighting any of these wars.
I don't think so either. I mean, we were trying to help the world.
Whether or not you agree with the war, you don't go back and you apologize for it.
No, that just puts a bad image for our entire country.
Which is exactly why so many people are up in arms about the president visiting Hiroshima. Now, his administration has come out and claimed that they're not going to make any sort of official apology to the Japanese people. But in my mind, just his presence there alone is an apology.
He will be the first president to step there since the actual bombs dropping.
Now, an interesting study came out in which only 56% of Americans approved of the dropping of the atomic bombs in World War II. That's a surprisingly low number, and it seems that the millennials, shocker, the millennials are especially against the dropping of the atomic bombs.
Oh, those Sanders supporters.
It seems the world has forgotten just how terrible of a war that World War II was, and just how necessary it was to get it over as quickly as possible.
Every single historian, specifically military historians, know that this saved many lives, both Japanese and American. I know it sounds weird, but yeah.
Without a doubt, dropping the bombs on Japan saved Japanese lives. It sounds reversed, but Japan, they were, in a lot of ways, an invasion of Japan would have been a lot like invading the U.S. Every citizen would have been armed. Mm-hmm. Every citizen would have been a threat. Women, children, they all would have fought to protect their homeland.
They still followed that Bushido code, I believe it was called the Samurai Code, which all of the citizens felt it was honorable to die for protecting this land.
Which is exactly what made the Japanese such a hard opponent to take out in the Pacific. Imagine trying to invade their homeland. There would be no Japan that's there today. Japan would have been invaded. They would have been in ruins. There'd be no modern-day Japan. They'd still be a mess.
And let's not forget of the hundreds of thousands of Americans that would die in the invasion.
It saved American lives, period.
Yes.
We were at war. It saved American lives.
War is hell, but this was necessary.
Anything that saves American lives, if you're at war, you do it. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that dropping those atomic bombs was necessary, which is why it's such a slap in the face that Obama's going to Hiroshima. He claims it's in order to promote nuclear peace across the world. Why the hell is that necessary? Did I miss the memo where people were trying to drop atomic bombs on, like, I don't know, Syria or something? Did I miss that?
I think you might have, but honestly, the last time I checked, North Korea is the only country in the world that even threatens with nuclear weapons anymore.
Yeah, it's a totally unnecessary move. And honestly, at this point, it seems that not only is Barack Obama just a lame duck president at this point, it seems he's trying to slap the United States in the face every chance he can get. I firmly believe he hates the United States. He absolutely hates everything we stand for.
I definitely agree. We have seen that time after time. He has gone around the way that America wants him to go, and he has gone against our values.
Oh, without a doubt. As a general tip to all you out there listening, if you hate a country, don't run to be the president.
I don't see why he even ran to be president here.
Finishing off this episode of The Wise Conservative, a little bit of a non-story, but I thought it was interesting just to throw in nonetheless. The conservative community is still up in arms over the Facebook liberal bias scandal. I really don't see a problem. Number one, Facebook is a private company. They can display whatever they want. They're under no obligation to keep things neutral. It might be in their best interest to do so as a business, but they're not under any sort of regulations. They have no sort of requirements. It really does not matter. They can do whatever they want. They're a private business.
And that's really a new viewpoint that I hadn't even seen until you introduced it. And it is very true. Facebook is a private company. Us conservatives, we pledge that capitalism is the best system, that the free market is the best system. But now a lot of us are up in arms over a private company doing what they want.
It really doesn't matter. I mean, is there any sort of bias? Well, sure. It's the internet. The internet is inherently biased towards the left. And I think it's just because so many of the millennials are on social media more so than other generations. I really think that's probably why there's any sort of bias. I don't see a problem with it. It's a non-issue. What the real bias is, people are up in arms over bias on Facebook. No one seems to care about the bias in the education system, where it should be neutral because it's public, free, government-controlled education. Where's the people up in arms over that?
We don't see enough people within the conservative movement up in arms over this horrible issue where we can see there's obviously liberal indoctrination and liberal bias within not only our colleges but also our high schools.
High schools, middle schools, elementary schools.
From the very beginning.
Studies after studies have found that liberals, or teachers and professors, they're almost like 2-3 times more likely to be a liberal themselves. I mean, there's like 2 liberal professors for every one conservative. It works something like that. At least 60% or so. It's an absolutely huge discrepancy between the two, and it's not talked about. Yet this is where it really matters, because an education system is the building block for how most young Americans have their political views instilled within them. And we've seen time after time again, the professors, even if they make little remarks, it's those little remarks that stick with students, maybe laughing at Trump or saying what a moron he is, just as an offhand remark. It's things like that that's created a clear liberal bias in the education system. And it's a real shame that we get up in arms over Facebook, but not up in arms when our students are being indoctrinated from the very start.
And that's really the key issue that all of us should be focusing on. This indoctrination that is essentially brainwashing. I'd like to use that word for it. Brainwashing our loved ones, our kids, our family members into being liberal from the time they join even preschool. It's a horrible issue that we really, really need to stand up and talk about.
Thankfully, if you're listening to this, you've probably heard the truth. You probably know what's going on, and you're out there fighting it. Folks, thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Wise Conservative Show. My name is Dakota Wise. Here with me, my brother and co-host, Connor Wise. It's been a great episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun making this one.
It was a great one.
You can find us at youthrevolt.org, or, as always, at Spreaker.com/The Wise Conservative Show. You can find us on Instagram. You can search up Youth Revolt on Facebook. We are all over the place if you just can't get enough of us.
I can't get enough of us, so.
Until next time, folks, take care, and God bless.